So, welcome again to our today's Let's Learn about the topic blogs along the customer journey, building trust and influencing decisions. And for a little opener, I brought you a little reminder or maybe a little impulse to think about when was the last time a blog truly convinced you to buy something or to dig deeper into a topic and to really do research on something. And for me personally, in university, I often have to inform myself about some topics. I have to do research, and often I find blogs really helpful. But on the other side, there are also some blogs I really think are too complicated or are not giving a good overview. But in general, they are really helpful, and that's the topic we are going to talk about today. I already announced that it's going to be a marketing topic, but I hope you are interested in learning something about the customer journey. So our today's topics will be the customer journey in general. There I will give a short overview about the topic by using an example. Then we are going to talk about the blogs, the origin steps blogs along the customer journey and the impact of the blogs along the journey. Then it's your turn because we are going to do a little brainstorm exercise and we are going to think about blog topics or contents that serve the different customer journey phases. And our last topic would be blogs along the customer journey and AI, because AI is trending right now and we need to make sure that the blogs as a touch point are still visible if the customer is finding our blog through AI. And now to go into the basics, I brought you a general customer journey. It's most of the times divided into 5 phases, and the customer journey can be explained by saying that it's the entire journey from the first contact with the brand, the service, or the product until the customer decides to buy the product, and also after buying the product or the service. So our first phase here is the awareness phase. There it's all about the first contact of the customer with the product, with the service, or with the brand. And it's important to catch the customer here. So maybe you need to have a catching ad, you have to do good promotion. On the other hand side, maybe someone recommended your product or your service, or maybe you just have a really interesting packaging. So people in the store think, well, it looks nice, maybe I should try it. In the second phase, the consideration phase, it's all about going deeper into the topic. The customer tries to inform themselves about a topic. Maybe he wants to buy a new product and he really compares the different products on the market to really have an evaluated decision on what to buy. And here the important touch points would be maybe websites to really inform yourself. Often there are product tests where you can look, well, this has a good price for a good quality, and the other machine, for example, has only a high price, but the quality isn't as good in comparison. So you really can make a evaluated decision, which leads us to our third phase, the decision phase. It's also called the purchasing phase. And here it's all about the decision the customer made and to really bring the customer to do the purchase. And here it's important to really facilitate the purchase. For example, if you have an e-commerce website, the customer can buy your product with one click, or for example, you have easy payment methods. You can buy by credit card or buy with Apple Pay. So it really makes it easy for the customer to, in the end, buy your product or your service. And then we have our last 2 phases, which are also called the post-purchase phases. And here it's all about building trust with your customer. It's about having a long-term customer relationship and to really engage with the customer. And in the retention phase, there it's all about giving additional service, for example, to your product, or really keep the customer engaged with the brand. For example, you can send out newsletters to remind the customer we have new products, we have new services, or to just remind the customer, well, this is our brand, these are our values. You really want them to get to know you. For example, you can also talk about support, and this makes the customer journey one entire journey, because you do not just buy something and then the journey is over. You really get an entire experience out of this. And in our last phase, the advocacy phase, it's all about recommending the product or the service to, for example, people on the internet, but also to friends and family. So you really want to become a brand advocacy for the product, for the brand, and in the end, really get new customers to do the customer journey the same way as you did. Or, for example, if you are really satisfied with the brand and you see, well, they launch a new product, you yourself maybe start to engage in another customer journey to buy the new product because you were as satisfied. So now I talked much about the theory behind the customer journey, and now I brought you a little example so we can really understand what are the different phases about. And we are going to talk about Carl today. He is 28 years old. He's an average guy. He likes to cook. He likes to do sports. But above all, he loves coffee. And because of this, Carl thinks about getting a new espresso machine, because one morning he was sipping his coffee and it wasn't tasting as good as the coffee at the coffee shop around the corner. And so he thought, well, maybe it's time to invest in a good quality coffee machine to really enjoy the coffee every morning. Then it comes to our first phase, the awareness phase. We have a wish. He wants better coffee at home. For example, this can be triggered by a social media ad where he saw someone making a good coffee with a new espresso machine. Maybe he saw a movie last night and there were TV commercials talking about ads in general. So you have a coffee machine in the TV commercial and he thinks, well, maybe I need to buy one. Often influencer reviews bring people to buy or to think about a new purchase. And maybe he also was at a friend's house where the coffee was way better than the coffee at his house. So it was a personal recommendation from friends and family. And now he has this spark. He wants to buy a new espresso machine. And then he goes into the second phase, the consideration phase. Here the customer starts exploring and evaluating. He really wants to know, well, which is the best espresso machine? What is the best espresso machine for me personally? And important touch points here are review sites. In-store visits can also be important, so you really see the machines live in front of you. Maybe there are good sales associates who can really tell you the differences between the machines. Websites can be really important information source, and there are also blogs, because often people on the internet write about one particular machine, or maybe they compared machines, where you can really try to find an answer to your question here. So he now searched espresso machines and he dove into research mode, and in the end he knows which espresso machine is worth the investment. And so he made the decision, and now he makes the purchase. And as I already mentioned, this is the heart of the entire customer journey, because here you really generate a profit. And here the important touch points are e-commerce websites. For example, he was on the website of the espresso machine brand, and it was really easy to buy the product. It was easy to inform yourself about the product, and in the end you easily were able to buy, for example, the espresso machine by using credit card, or maybe he bought the espresso machine in a store where he has a nice sales associate who really informed him, and in the end was able to make him the purchase. What is also important to really get the customer to decide for your product or to make the purchase are, for example, limited offers or specials. So you can really tell the customer, well, if you buy our product now, it's, for example, cheaper, or you get something additional for the coffee machine. So it facilitates the decision to really buy this product. And now we have the post-purchase phase. The first phase here is the retention. So the customer really enjoys the product and he stays engaged with the brand. For example, he gets email marketing. He gets a weekly newsletter with news about the brand. Maybe they inform about new products, or they just send weekly coffee recipes. And for example, he can explore some new recipes. Now he makes an iced caramel latte every morning, and that's only because he got a recipe from this brand. Often new machines also have apps, so maybe he gets an app notification every day. Have you drank your daily coffee? And because of this, he really stays engaged with the brand, with the coffee machine, and he drinks his coffee every day. Many brands and companies also have a branded YouTube channel. For example, they upload tutorials. Here, in this case, maybe how to clean the espresso machine, but maybe they can also upload some recipes. So you have really much touch points to stay engaged with the brand also after purchasing the machine. And in the end, there's the advocacy phase. Now, Carl is a really satisfied customer. He recommends the product. And there, the important touch points are, for example, social media sharing, recommendations, and feedbacks on surveys on customer satisfaction. And here we can see he, on the one hand side, he recommends the new machine online. On the other hand side, he recommends it to friends and family, or he really engages in surveys of the brand itself and gives feedback directly to the brand. So we really have a satisfied customer. He becomes a brand advocacy. So in the end, we can see that every blog, every ad, and every interaction matters. If your content is tailored to each stage of the customer journey, you're not selling a product, you are guiding the transformation. You are guiding the customer to the purchase, and afterwards, you are guiding the customer to stay engaged with the brand and maybe to become again customer, or to maybe recommend the product or the service to generate new customers. Now we talked about the general customer journey, but now it's all about the role of the blogs in each customer journey phase, because we are going to look at the touchpoint blogs, because at OriginStamp, we are using blogs to generate traffic. We are using blogs to really get attention on the OriginStamp website. And now I'm going to talk about how we can improve our content to really have tailored content to each customer journey phase, and to not only attract a customer the first time, but only to keep a customer engaged with our brand. In our first phase, the awareness phase, it's all about the first contact with the brand. The goal here is to create attention. You want to spark interest. You want to get the people notice your website, for example. And the strategy here is high value content, addressing common problems, addressing current topics. And it's really important to use SEO optimized content, because the search engines are based on this. In our second phase, the consideration phase, it's also important that blogs act as advisory tool to evaluate. So you have to dig deeper into the content. You really have to give solutions. You have to evaluate a topic and to really have something the customer can think about. Here, the goal is to give solutions and to build trust. And the strategy behind this is to have in-depth articles. You can, for example, use case studies, and it's also important to have high-quality sources, that it becomes really a reliable source to your customer. Then we have the decision phase, and here it's important that the blog has a trust-building element to support the final decision-making. For example, if there are customers who are thinking about getting different services, you really want to have an outstanding trust to this customer to make them in the end decide for your service. So the goal here is to guide the user towards your brand, towards conversation with your brand, and the strategy here is to highlight your product and your service, and to give clear call to action. So for example, you tell them, well, buy our service now because of this and this, or maybe you have a promotion, and then you say, well, now our service is 10% off. So if you get it now, you will have advantages. And here it's all about really telling them our product is special because we are the brand who's standing behind this product. You want to build trust with your customer. In the retention phase, the blog should become a regular source of information. For example, you can upload weekly blogs and you can really become a reliable source for your customer base. So they are really excited every week that there is going to be a new blog because they know it's high quality content. You can make decisions based on this content and they really become engaged with the brand as a whole. So the goal here is to retain the existing customers and to support upselling. The strategy is to have content to encourage further engagement. Maybe you can also have a chat at the end of the blogs so the people really can talk about the content they just read, or maybe they can talk to each other. And in the last phase, the advocacy phase, the blog needs to inspire mouth-to-mouth promotion. For example, you want your customer to talk about your blog and you want to say, well, on the Origin Stamp blog, I read last week that this topic is trending right now, and I think it's really important to discuss right now. So the goal here is to turn the customers into brand advocates. So they really recommend your blogs and they really talk about your brand because they are really satisfied with the information they are getting from the blogs. And the strategy you can use, for example, here is customer spotlights. You can report about happy clients. You can have guest posts. So it's all about telling the customers about the already satisfied customers and getting attention throughout these kind of blogs. Now we talked a lot about the different phases and the different content you can use in the different customer journey phases, but in general, how can we improve blogs along the customer journey? It's important, as I already mentioned, that the content needs to be aligned to the customer journey phases. It's important to have a different focus depending on the phase. For example, in the first phase, it's all about getting attention to the brand for a first time. So it's important to have high quality content and to have blogs about current topics. But if you want to keep a customer engaged with the brand, it's also important to talk about your values, talk about the team, and really get the customer to know your brand, to have a trust building element. Then it's also important to match the tone and style of intent. So your writing style should reflect the subject. For example, if you are explaining a topic easily, it's important to have an easy language. If you want to dig deeper into a topic, it's, for example, important to have reliable sources. And it's also important to address your reader personally. And in German, you can do this with the Du. And also, it's important to include clear call to actions. You have to differentiate the call to actions according to the customer journey phase. So, for example, if you have a topic who is tailored to spark interest, you can have a call to action that is saying, what are your experiences with this topic? Or maybe, did you already know this? If you really want someone to buy your product or your service, you have a call to action who clearly states, buy this product now because of this advantage and this advantage. And if you just want to keep your customers engaged with the brand, you maybe need to ask, well, what are values that are important for you? Or you ask a call to actions according to a satisfied customer story. And our last point to improve blogs along the customer journey is to ensure that there is content continually across the channels. Blogs are not the only touch points. They are a very important touch point because you can use them along the entire customer journey, but you also need to have same content on different platforms. For example, you can post on social media about the blogs. You can also build trust with the customer through social media. So it's important to have the same content also on different platforms. And now it's your turn. I brought you a little brainstorm exercise and we are going to generate blog topics for each customer journey phase. And here I have a short step-by-step. So first, we are going to think about the product or the service. In our case, it would be content who is compatible with the with origin stamp. And then in the second step, we choose a customer journey phase. For example, we choose the awareness phase or we choose the decision phase. And then we choose a content or topic who really attracts customer in that particular customer journey phase. And then we come up with blog ideas or blog topics. And I also brought you a little example. And for example, for the awareness stage, the blog title could be, "What is blockchain technology?" Because it's a relevant topic in the sphere of origin stamp, and it's all about explaining relevant topics to gain website traffic and popularity. The second phase is the consideration phase. And here it's all about giving direct instructions and talk about relevant topics, go deep into the topics. And one blog title there could be the EU AI Act, how to prepare your company. So it's a clear advisory what the company should do. In the decision phase, it's all about trust building blogs that make the customer decide for origin stamp, and a decision blog title could be origin stamp the team. So you really start to show the customer the team, the value, and the culture to really generate trust building content. Thank you. And now we are going to talk about our last topic. For today's Let's Learn, it's all about how AI is changing blog discovery in the customer journey. Because as you can see, more users start their search journey by using AI. They no longer use traditional search engines. They also start on, for example, ChatGPT, and they ask, well, can you find me some information about a specific topic? As you can see here, Fabian gave me our numbers. There is still most traffic is still generated by the search engines like Google or Bing, but under the top 10, 2 AIs are already in the field. So we really need to be aware that more and more people start a search journey by asking AI, and we also generate website traffic throughout the AI. So we also need to be visible for AI and not only be visible on traditional search engines. So it's crucial to try and get your blogs into the AI's recommendations. You need to make your blog the one AI trusts. And therefore we need some new touch points. For example, one important touch point there would be you need structured semantic content. You need to have clear headlines and you really need to have clear structure. Then it's also important to have answer-based formats. For example, you can use question words like how, what, and why to really make the AI trust you. Credible citation and links also help to be a trustworthy source. And also updated and context-rich language is one of the indicators that AI trusts and where you are getting more visible to AI. And also our last touch point can be you to be a reference on others, other sites who the AI already trusts, who the AI already pulls from. When the AI knows, well, this site trusts the new source, then you are also becoming a reliable source to the AI. So as a generative AI tool becomes the starting point of more and more customer journeys, blogs visibly increasing depend on whether AI chooses to reference your content. To stay relevant, your blogs must be structured not just for human readers, but also to be optimized to trust, understanding, and recommendations by the AI. So it's important now to also be trusted by the AI and not only by the human eye. Now, for the end of our Let's Learn, I summarized some new learnings for the Origin Stamp blogs, who I hope you will take with you after the Let's Learn. And our first most important learning of this Let's Learn would be blogs can be used along the entire customer journey. It's one of the few content formats that supports all stages of the customer journey by tailoring the content to each phase. Blogs can build trust. So the blogs help to position your brand and by posting frequently, you become an information source to the customer. You can really try to engage with your customers in this by using this touch point. And our last learning would be blogs are a long-term asset. So blogs are discoverable over time via search engines. You can also discover it via AI, and you are making a sustainable way to attract customers and to convert the customers and to retain the customers. So I hope you enjoyed the Let's Learn. Thank you very much for the attention. And if there are any questions, feel free to ask. And if there are any comments, please share.